This is The Wire for 2300 Zulu, September 2nd, 2025. Precedence is routine. Information cutoff is 2200. Bottom line up front. White House announces decision to deploy troops to Chicago as local officials urge resistance. Kinetic strike reported in Caribbean Sea as U.S. Navy sinks suspected narco vessel. Beginning with international events. In Australia, the overall situation remains tense following the continuation of various immigration-related issues around the continent. This morning, a Bangladeshi man was charged with various offenses for his role in causing a traffic accident which killed 2 people in New South Wales over the weekend. Analysts comment. Over the past few weeks, similar atmospherics to what have sprung up in England have also taken root in some places around Australia, with many demonstrations and protests popping up over the past few days. It's tough to say how impactful these demonstrations are, but these types of events do highlight that dissent is growing. In France, a high-profile shooting took place in Marseille this morning, following a knife attack that originated from a dispute at a hotel. Local authorities state that a migrant from Tunisia was living at a hotel in the downtown area, but was confronted by hotel staff after failing to pay his bill. This resulted in the man becoming belligerent, producing a knife, and stabbing 4 people at the hotel, including the manager and other staff members. Plainclothes police from the Anti-Crime Brigade, or BAC, responded quickly to the scene, making contact with the man on the street a short distance from the hotel. The man made jihadi comments before attacking the police, which resulted in him being shot and killed. No word yet on the condition of the hotel staff wounded during the attack. Analysts comment. The assailant was identified as 35-year-old Abdelkader D. and allegedly had an extensive criminal record. Due to this record, the assailant was already known to police, but nevertheless was given a residency permit valid until 2032. In the Caribbean this afternoon, the White House announced the kinetic targeting of a vessel suspected of trafficking narcotics. The vessel was engaged and possibly sunk after departing from Venezuela, with no survivors being reported following the strike. Analysts comment. Beyond the initial announcement, almost zero additional details have been provided. Nevertheless, this targeting is an escalation of the conflict and serves to indicate that kinetic targeting efforts have been authorized. Normally, the standard interdiction tactics have involved the disabling of suspected narco vessels, which often relies upon using lethal weapons to shoot a vehicle's engine to render it inoperable. In this case, the White House has so far referred to this incident as a quote-unquote lethal strike, though without commenting on the type of weapon system used for this engagement. In any case, this targeting effort suggests that the policy has now changed to more of a shoot first, ask questions later policy. On the home front in Illinois, tensions continue as the federal involvement in Chicago looms. Over the past few days, the White House has continued to express plans to deploy National Guard forces around the city to combat crime. At one of yesterday's protest events, Mayor Brandon Johnson has called on city residents to defend the city when troops arrive. Analyst comments for this wire. Most of the rhetoric from Chicago officials is purely posturing. However, as the federal deployment of troops comes to fruition, the potential for bad things to happen very quickly always remains a risk. No one can argue that Chicago is a safe city, and even the most anti-Trump demonstrators have to admit that the extreme levels of crime have only gotten worse over the years. On the other hand, there's no guarantee that the city's problems will be solved with the National Guard. And since local politicians and power players have begun the pushback or resistance, the conflict that is right now confined to the world of soft power may transition into the realm of hard power rather quickly. This concludes The Wire for 2300 Zulu, September 2nd, 2025.